Rise of the Planet of the Apes is directed by Rupert Wyatt and it stars James Franco, John Lithgow, Tom Felton, and the one and only Andy Serkis as Caesar. Now, if you haven't seen this movie yet, definitely go see it. It came out several years ago. I am going to be talking spoilers, and I don't want to ruin this movie for you. I am going to be reviewing Rise and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, leading up to the release of War for the Planet of the Apes this weekend. I'm excited for that movie, guys. Rise of the Planet of the Apes follows James Franco's character Will as he tries to discover the cure for Alzheimer's, which his father is suffering from, and they're on the stage for testing on chimps, and one chimp ends up going crazy, but we find out that's because she was protecting her baby, which James Franco's character has to take home because they are terminating all the other chimps as the tests are seeming to fail. James Franco brings this chimp home, which he eventually names Caesar. He starts testing this new drug on his father because the chimp that he brought home, named Caesar, is showing signs of greater intelligence because of the drug that its mother was given. His father's memory does start decaying much more rapidly afterward, and Caesar ends up trying to protect him when a neighbor tries to pretty much beat him up, and Caesar's sent to this ape compound where all these other apes and gorillas are being held because they're violent or something. I don't really remember why they're being held there, but it's an ape conservatory type of thing. Caesar doesn't like how he's being treated by the other apes and how the apes are all being treated by the humans that are in charge of this place, so he devises a plan to break them out, and then we get the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Now, I was hesitant to even see this movie because honestly I really liked the Tim Burton and Mark Wahlberg Planet of the Apes that came out in 2001. So when I saw that this movie was coming out and I noticed that all of the apes were CGI, I was like, I don't know how well they're gonna do. But to be honest, they pulled it off pretty darn well. Some of the CGI is a little rough, but for the most part, it's really good. The stories, it's compelling, and what I find most interesting about this movie is it's a Planet of the Apes movies when the other ones, all of the other Planet of the Apes movies, we are always rooting for the humans. In this one, we're kind of rooting for the apes. We're pulling for Caesar because you see how horribly he's treated and how horribly his friends are treated in this ape place that he's taken to. And your heart breaks for him. In terms of casting and acting in this movie, I feel like the casting was hit and miss. Andy Serkis was definitely a hit. He's always good at those motion capture characters. For some reason, he just excels at that. He's very physical about his acting. And for him to play an ape, again, after playing an ape in King Kong, the 2005 version, it just made perfect sense. And he delivers a performance through this ape character that's just very moving. And he's only given a few lines, but when he does speak, it's powerful. And I'll get into that later. But some of the other casting, John Lithgow, he was a good choice. He pulls off that role very well. James Franco, that was a tough one for me to swallow because he comes off as more of a cool dude and not a scientist. So it was hard for me to buy into his character. He played it okay, but again, I don't think he was the best choice for that character. I think I can't really pick anyone out of my head right now that could have been better, but there are quite a few that probably would be better. Tom Felton as like the punk kid that's working at this ape place, he was good. He plays a similar character from the Harry Potter movies, so just kind of take this character and put him in the ape movies. That's all we want you to do, minus the English accent. He was good, and he's given the line of "Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape," and he delivered that line pretty good. Again, I'll get into that scene in particular in a few minutes. But yeah, the acting in this movie, it was pretty good. In terms of action, there really isn't that much action in this movie. It's more of a drama movie, which I appreciate. We do get that first intense scene where the apes are being captured in the jungle, and then shortly after we get the Bright Eyes breaking out and going on that rampage. But it's after a while that we finally get another action scene, and it's pretty short. It's pretty much the little fight between Rocket, I think, was the original leader of the ape enclosure, and then Caesar kind of puts him in his place, using the gorilla. And then we get that scene where all the apes are breaking out, and that leads into the big climactic battle on the Golden Gate Bridge, which was pretty intense. My favorite scene in terms of action is the ape escape scene, because it involves so many just great moments. It also includes that classic line delivered by Tom Felton of "Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape." But the reply to that by Caesar just screaming, "No!" Like, that scene, every time I see it, I get like goosebumps, because it's so powerful the way they do it. And it just goes quiet after he says no. And you see the reaction in all these different characters' faces. You see the gorilla, you see the other guy with the tranquilizer gun, and they're just stunned. It's like, this ape just spoke. That scene is just awesome. And what happens after it, and Tom Felton's character's death, it was such a great scene. I love that scene. And the Golden Gate Bridge fight scene, battle, it was all right. There's no other really way they could have done that, because they have to get to the Redwoods, and they got to cross the Golden Gate Bridge to get there, I guess. So, I don't think I could have thought of any other way to end it, so it was all right. It was serviceable. Some of the special effects haven't aged quite so well. In this movie in particular, some of the facial movements of the apes, they're all right. There are quite a few scenes, even when it first came out, that you're like, yeah, that's CGI, and it's unfortunate because it kind of pulls you a little out of the movie. But for the most part, the CGI is pretty good, especially when they do more of the wider shots. It looks totally believable. Another great scene. It's a very small moment, but it basically leads to everything else that happens in this movie. It's shortly after the time jump, where it's like 7 or 10 years later, and James Franco and his girlfriend are walking in the Redwoods with Caesar, and he's got a leash on. And they cross paths with this family and their dog that's also on a leash. And Caesar sees this dog on the leash, and he's like, "Am I a pet?" And he basically has a conversation with sign language with James Franco. And that whole scene where it's like, he doesn't want to be this pet anymore. He knows that he's more than just some human pet. And that's something that I really admired about this movie, is they went to that length to be like, this character is hurting, and you want to take sides with this character because he's not being treated fairly. And it's an ape. That's what I loved about this movie, is they make you side with the apes, and you kind of hate the humans. They pulled it off, and it surprised me. I didn't want to be on the side of the apes, but they got me. Also, the end scene when Caesar basically tells James Franco character that Caesar is home. That was a pretty powerful scene, because again, you hear him say a sentence, and it was cool. I wanted so much more of him speaking, and we didn't get it in this movie, but we did get it in the next movie, which I'll be talking about later this week. Overall, this movie is very entertaining. I absolutely love this movie. There are a few things that it could have done better, in particular the CGI. It was a little rough at some points, but overall it was all right. It was passable. I give Rise of the Planet of the Apes an A-. Again, very few things that it could have done better. It was a great movie, and it's a movie that I can rewatch several times and not really get bored of it. So what did you guys think of Rise of the Planet of the Apes? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm going to be reviewing Dawn of the Planet of the Apes leading up to the release of War for the Planet of the Apes. I'm definitely excited for this movie, guys. I've been looking forward to it. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a big ol' thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can be notified when we upload new content. And before I go, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for helping us get over 300 subscribers. We reached it on June 30th, and it's been several days since then, so sorry I haven't gotten a video up, but thank you so much for getting us over 300. It's a big stepping stone, and on our way to bigger and better things. Karen and I are going to do a live Q&A celebrating that 300 subscriber mark, and we're going on a year on YouTube, so be on the lookout for that video, guys. I don't have a date planned, but when I do, I will let you guys know. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.